So there's been much talk about IR's failure as an intellectual project. I think it's both inside and outside the field. So critics have pointed out that, IR, it rarely exports its ideas and approaches. Other social scientists care very little, if anything at all, certainly not humanities scholars either, for international relations scholarship, and certainly not for sort of IR theories, right? So the justification for the separation of IR, or the distinctiveness of IR, was always that it was sort of theory driven, and where are these theories now? In Erased, I argued that the sources of this failure in the British context were three interrelated ones, right? One was the marginalization of historical method. For me, this was sort of really hugely significant, and it sort of displaced historical archival inquiry, and now we sort of have very weak grasp and understanding of the significance of history. A second is the marginalization of studies of race and empire. And this is probably the key. Well, this is equally, if not more important and related. Mid-century IR, both in Britain and the United States, dropped imperialism and dropped empire, and therefore was unable to reckon with empire and its legacies. And I think that, when we think about international relations today, that is clearly a major feature. And finally, the whole book is about, in some sense, the related erasure of women intellectuals from the history of the field, and then women's intellectual labors that underpinned early IR, especially including on empire, anti-colonial organizing, non-Western powers. Women historians were thinking in these terms, and so it stripped IR of the sort of perspectives needed to grasp, worldwide plurality. And just thinking ahead then into the contemporary field, I think obviously the field is much more plural than it was, in the second half of the 20th century. It's very clear that IR is still incredibly Eurocentric. The North Atlantic journals are the most, important journals. The English sort of only norms that get, about who gets heard